We're going to toy around with a little bit of a new segment here. We're going to call it News and Notes. Just going to have some general observations from the week that was. We all take in a lot of headlines every week in this information-heavy society, so we sort them out, and then we're going to each offer our own, and we'll discuss it a little bit. So, final 10 minutes. My observation is from the fight, the exhibition last Saturday, which actually came off as a wild success. You had Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. going at it. They exceeded 1 million pay-per-view buys, so it far exceeded expectations. And really what was an outrageous decision to call it a draw. I really think it was predetermined. It was the fix was probably in, because anyone with eyes and a brain saw that Tyson won the fight. So that was observation number one there. Number two, did you guys see after the fight, apparently there was a fan that attacked Mike Tyson. I've heard this is a normal occurrence. This guy has been shouting at Tyson after many fights, but apparently he went up to him and said, I'll take you out back, let's fight. And when Tyson said it's not going to end well for you, he took a swing at him. So I'm not sure how gone you have to be, how outside the realm of reality you have to be to think that that's a good idea, to think that that will end well for you. But very fascinating, to say the least, that a fan is taking a swing at Mike Tyson.
Yeah, guy with a death wish, evidently, Andrew. I mean, I don't know what would drive you to do this. Yeah, I got nothing else to add.
Yeah, I mean, Eban, you mentioned it was a draw, and I think people on Twitter were saying, they're going to have a rematch. But Roy Jones Jr. looked like he wanted no more parts, no more smoke with Mike Tyson. I think they had an agreement before that Mike wouldn't give him any haymakers that might knock his block off. But that fan saw Mike Tyson really have mercy on Roy Jones Jr., but I'm sure that Mike would not have mercy on this person. And again, death wish, nothing to lose. I don't know what's going on in this person's life, but if you're going up to Mike Tyson, I don't care if he's damn near 60, man. That is one man that you do not want to pick a fight.
I think you're already dead if you're making that decision. Maybe not physically dead, but you're mentally dead, and you don't feel alive if you're making that decision to take a swing at Mike Tyson. By the way, Andrew, you're completely correct. Tyson had way more in the tank, at least I think, and he brought his A game. I don't think Roy Jones Jr. wants anything to do with him moving forward. Also, you had the Jake Paul, Nate Robinson fight as the undercard, and Paul, the YouTuber who's fought before, Robinson, who's the former NBA player. Of course, people in this town know him as the former Knick and the slam dunk champion, who really has never fought before and really stepped outside his bounds. Looked like he was getting in this cage match where he wanted to attack Jake Paul, and he kept going at him, and that's not how you box. And he ultimately got obliterated, is what happened. But now Jake Paul, after just that embarrassing performance by Nate Robinson, seems to think that he's this amazing fighter, and I'll give it to him. It was impressive on his part to hit around Nate Robinson the way he did. But now Jake Paul thinks that he can fight Conor McGregor, which is, I mean, talk about being gone from reality. We now have someone, I want to get the exact quote here.
Someone else with a death wish.
Someone else with a death. Yes. Hold on. I'm going to find this quote.
And can I just give 3 observations real quick, guys, on this? Number one, Nate Robinson did a disservice to Knicks fans wearing orange and blue and then subsequently getting knocked out. I think for Knicks fans, they've seen that for the last 20 years, just knockout after knockout in terms of decision-making and seasons. 2, the way Nate Robinson fought, if you go outside of campus in Fordham and just walk up and down Fordham Road, I promise you will find 5 guys who will fight better than Nate Robinson did in the ring. And as you mentioned, my third observation, now Jake Paul gets to walk around strutting his stuff, E-Man, and saying that he can take down somebody like Conor McGregor or Floyd Mayweather Jr. It's absolutely ridiculous.
The quote is, I am dedicating my life to beating Conor McGregor. Financially, it already makes sense. Financially, I'm already one of the biggest prize fighters, and there's only a couple more bosses to check off. I think that's boxes. He said bosses, and to beat and to conquer. So he's treating Conor McGregor like it's a checkbox, and he's also saying he's dedicating his life to beating him. I hope he doesn't, because that life's not going to end well. And I don't know what to tell these people. It may be a good money-making tactic, but you are just out of your depth. You've completely left the universe with these comments. completely departed from planet Earth.
Look, the guy's a jerk. We've known that. I think I did a quick Google on him, and I'll be honest, full disclosure, I don't follow this much. Andrew gave me a little bit of a rundown beforehand. It's a bit of a circus. I already follow the New York Jets, but I saw that he took PPP money from the federal government this summer, and then threw massive parties in his mansion. So, not a cool guy. I'm speaking of death wishes, if I could turn it over. I don't know if you guys caught this Texas football player earlier this week.
I did.
Who was upset with the call of the referee and did something that I have never seen in my years. His response to this call was to lay out the official. I mean, blindside him. Absolutely brought the house to this guy, sacked him, sacked the referee without him looking. And he got some shot in. I would say we could play it for you, but I actually think we'd have to. I don't even think we can. It's that bad. So no update on the referee's health status, but apparently he got up on his own power, which is the important part here. But the Texas football player, but the high school kid is a high school kid. If I didn't mention, he's done. He actually has charges of assault, and rightfully so. And his team can't play in the playoffs, and rightfully so. This was one of the more egregious breaches of the rules. I mean, this really was assault. This left the plane of football and became an act of violence that we all caught on camera. And yes, it's natural to laugh a little bit, because it is something else. I mean, it's an old man that he hit.
Well, yeah, we're laughing not because, of course, we're concerned that the old man is okay, that being the referee. But I remember watching the video, and the ref makes the call, and he calls it on number 88. And then I see a football player in pads come out of nowhere as the referee turns around, and absolutely, like, this isn't even a sack. This is a destruction. And I looked to pinpoint the number. Is that number 88? Because he just called the penalty on him. And lo and behold, it was the same guy who had just been tossed from the game, actually, in that call. He said number 88's been ejected. He basically re-ejected himself by doing the biggest breach on the rules you could ever see, the most egregious conduct on a football field. And take away this guy's future and his teammates' future that he's jeopardizing by doing this. Texas high school football is a big deal. Yeah, that's like college football around here, even bigger than that in many circles. It's a huge deal to be disqualified from the playoffs moving forward and disqualified from future competition. What a terrible selfish act, which you can only chuckle about in the beginning.
E-Man, this man, the old man in question, the ref has a name, Fred Gracia. And Emmanuel Duran, who did this, he got the roughing the passer penalty. Then he argued, had some exchange of words, got a second a second penalty, which led to the ejection, and then just comes out and straight trucks this man. And again, you mentioned it. I have family in Texas. They take high school football very, very seriously, especially in the smaller towns. He's the reigning defensive player of the year in high school football. This kid should be, I mean, he's a senior anyway, but he should be done. He should be done with football in Texas. And he's also a wrestler too, one of the best in the state. I know it's not the same sport, but there should be something, a suspension or something that the wrestling team does to kind of at least show him that this can't be tolerated on any platform, on any level of high school athletics, E-Man. But again, and this isn't even the first time. I read that in 2015, they had a few players who had attacked the ref in Texas football. So the crazy part is this has happened before, and the fans there they cheered after he was ejected and hit the ref. So for some of the fans there, come on now. Like, I know you're upset with some of these calls, and these are big games, but you cannot applaud a young man doing that to an official. It just can't happen.
It was a criminal act. It was a criminal act.
It's not tolerated in football. It's not tolerated in life. He should probably be detained, actually, for a little while so he can get his life back together, because that's not acceptable actions on the street, which is why, well, you're also appalled when you watch the video.